This is a completely unfair test of the Canon EOS R5's autofocus system because I wanted to see if it could actually see animal eyes and pick out animal subjects.
The R5's playing on hard mode today with my 15-year-old 500 f4 and a 2x teleconverter.
I came to the one place where I knew for sure I could see some flying birds, the dock.
I am blown away. Both the R5 and R6 instantly locked onto moving birds as subjects and tracked them across the frame without requiring me to change focus points. The autofocus was also amazingly accurate, getting about 80% of these faraway subjects perfectly in focus. Let's slow down this kingfisher footage by 4 times. It is so hard to put the autofocus point manually on a fast-flying kingfisher, but the R5 did it almost instantly, and it nailed focus. Notice that I couldn't keep the bird in the center of the frame. We'll talk about that in just a second. You have to be very careful about exposure though. Most cameras give you a stop or 2 of highlight recovery. The R5 only gave me about 1/10 of a stop. So while it nailed the exposure on this dark cormorant, the rock is blown out and the picture's kind of useless. Though at a higher ISO, I got more latitude. I can't explain that. Let's go back home so we can try out the Animal Detect autofocus on small birds and insects.
Here in the backyard, these are very different conditions. It's very dark, about ISO 5000, and a lot of songbirds will really nestle into the brush and make it difficult to find. It's even difficult for the human eye to spot subjects under these conditions because the complexity of the background and the fact that the birds actually want to camouflage themselves, they're actively hiding from you while you're trying to find them. This has been an amazing experience for me. What I found is the R5 and the R6 too, they both seem to work equally well as far as the autofocus goes. They will pick out the subject before my eye can see it. They will find the eye. And it's not just birds. It works with dogs, of course it works with people, but it also works with insects, with butterflies, with a boat, with a dragonfly. I can't believe how it's finding these subjects before I can. And the autofocus, it's pretty accurate. I have yet to find any wildlife system that's 100% accurate. The challenges come in focusing on the bill instead of the eye. When you're working with a 500mm f4 or with a teleconverter at 700 f5.6, at the minimum focusing distance, the depth of field is shallower than the width of a dime. And so it's very easy to front focus or back focus, especially with an old lens. But still, it's getting, more than 50% of the shots in focus, which meant for everything I shot, it got some usable shots, no problem. And I've been shooting continuous autofocus, not single autofocus. So the moving subjects, things like branches moving, me moving, none of that was ever a problem.
Both the R5 and R6 were able to pick out a dragonfly even from a complex background. They could even choose to focus on the head of the dragonfly as opposed to the wings. But calling it animal eye autofocus overstates its capabilities. We should call it animal eye autofocus point selection because it just selects a point where it sees the interesting subject, and then it will automatically autofocus on the nearest part of the frame. If the dog's hair is in the same part of the frame, or if the bill of the bird is tilted a little closer than the eye, then it will miss focus. This isn't just Canon, it's Sony, it's Fuji, it's Olympus, it's Nikon. They all focus on the closest part of the frame where it found the interesting subject, and that needs to be fixed. Manufacturers either use more precise autofocus points or use contrast detect to really zero in on the iris of the eye, ignoring other foreground subjects like glasses or fur.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
You know how I fell in love with that Roomba and now it's completely useless?
Error 6.
Yeah.
And then there was Pokemon Go and Tesla. I have fallen in love with this animal eye detect in the Canon. It's so cool that I no longer even trust myself to give people an objective review of it.
You want me to ruin it?
I want you to be the voice of reason. I want you to test it and see if it actually makes a difference in the real world.
Okay. It sounds cool, but I'll give it a shot and see what I think.
All right, let's get some wildlife pics.
Okay. like blew me away. I was not expecting it to be that good. In fact, it was finding the eyes of the animal before I could. It helps me compose my photos better. It lets me focus on my composition, and then I know that the focus is always going to be on the animal's eye. One challenge that I found with it is that if there are multiple animals in the scene, you don't necessarily get to choose which one you want to focus on. It's kind of just going to pick the eye for you. You can work around that by getting only the animal that you want in the shot, letting it lock onto the eye, and then composing, kind of like that old focus recompose trick I used to use back in the day. It's a mirrorless camera, so you do get some lag and you do get blackout while you're shooting. The lag did not seem to be a problem when I wasn't shooting, when I was just looking through the viewfinder, but as soon as I started shooting and trying to track a flying bird, the lag was so bad that often I lost track of my subject. I could try to anticipate the movement of the animal and blindly track it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I don't know if that's something I want to deal with. For the record, it's fine for still subjects. It's fine for a little movement like portraits or something. It's also fine if your animal is so far away it's not really leaving the frame. But for the shots that I absolutely want, those close-up, gorgeous flying or moving animal shots, it was ruining some of them for me. It might also be a problem for sports. I know people are concerned about the overheating issues. I'm a hybrid shooter. I shoot some stills, I shoot some video. I've been shooting stills for about an hour pretty casually this morning, and when we went to take a video clip of a bird, it was already having overheating issues and said it would only give us 2 minutes of video time. So it seems to be a bigger problem than I initially thought. Another thing is we've only been shooting for an hour and the battery is already on low. It's already giving me a battery warning. I'll recharge again and kind of formally time how long it takes for the battery to run out, but an hour? I'm usually shooting all day. Wow, Canon really was banking tech like I thought.
If you want to support unbiased reviews like this, of course, subscribe. That's completely free. Give us a like. That's free. Write a comment and tell us what you want to see in the future follow-up reviews of the R5. Better yet, check out our video training. We could make more money by taking sponsorships from camera manufacturers, but we choose just to sell educational material to teach y'all photography. And the stuff you can learn from us will make a bigger difference in your photos than upgrading your camera will. I promise. SDP is only $10, and you can use the Summer 25 coupon to get it 25% off. We also have books on Lightroom Classic and Photoshop. Get the bundles for 25% off too. It's a really good deal. And better yet, check out our advanced video training, the Art and Science of Photography and the Professional Portrait Photography training series. Those will actually take you deeper and let you make some money with your gear. So it doesn't cost you money, it makes you money. All right, thanks a lot. I'm Tony Northrup. I appreciate your support. Bye.